So I want to keep this super casual tonight and make this sort of a not just a teaching moment, but also maybe just sort of some reciprocated discussion about how to effectively lead challenge groups. I do have a few slides just of some tips that I have, but I want to give you guys a little bit of backstory before I dive into the PowerPoint. So obviously you guys know I've been running challenge groups since late 2010. So this is something that really is, for me personally, like the premise of my job description, right? It's the very first thing I ever did when I decided to work my business. First thing was to run a challenge group. And so the very first group I ever ran was actually a gratitude challenge group in November of 2010. And at that time, Zoom didn't exist. A lot of people were still, like, some people did Facebook, some people didn't. And so we did everything through Skype. And I actually had everybody on like a group text message. And to this day, that remains one of my most favorite challenge groups that I've ever led. And since then, I can really, I mean, I don't even know, like, I've lost count of how many groups I've run, probably one a month ever since, or something close to it. So lots and lots and lots, hundreds of challenge groups under my belt. And so I started thinking about it, and I was thinking, I don't remember how it came up, but I had a couple of you guys ask me a question last week personally, like off the record on Facebook, about running challenge groups or struggling with a few of the following, right? Struggling with getting referrals to whether it's customer or coach, struggling with that, struggling with residual business, or even struggling with recruiting numbers, like having coaches join your team. And so those three things for me all are rooted in the effectiveness of your challenge group. Because if we're running a group where the end result is for people to get results and to become fans of the product, then those other things should come easier, right? Getting them to stay on Shakeology, getting them to become coaches, right? And so I think back and I think about that first group that I ever ran, that gratitude group. I think about a group that I ran, I don't even know when. It was a P90X. We called it Hot Mamas and Ripped Papas. And that's actually the group that Shauna, Abby, Tara, there were like four of them. I can't remember who else was in that group. All ended up kind of popping up as leaders of that group and went on to become coaches, and then later even diamond coaches. So I've had lots of challenge groups that have been successful, but I also have lots of challenge groups that have not been successful. And so I have the experience of both. And so I really started to think, I'm telling you personally speaking, in the last 2 or 3 months, especially since we've made our shift, right, away from 100% challenge packs, really been trying to think about how I can best, what I can control and in my business, and what I can do to make sure that my challenge groups are thriving. And so let's see, this is September. So probably end of July is when I decided, I'm still going to be putting people into my virtual gym, into our virtual gym as a team, but I'm going to just try to see what happens when I lead my own challenge group, just like old school Jenny used to do, right? Because it's literally been since probably 2013, 2014, since I've led my own individual group. Usually I've partnered up with other coaches, or we've done it as a team since then. So I thought, I'm going to run my own group just like I used to do. And I'm going to do it like, it's going to have that Jenny stamp on it. Like, it's going to have sort of what I know to be successful in a challenge group appeal. And so that's what I did. And so I did it in the month of August. And then I just added 5 people to it to start a new round of it this month. So we're actually a weekend to that. And I've started to see this momentum again. I've started to see people actually interested in coaching, interested in staying on product, or even ordering more product. I had one challenger just yesterday. She had originally ordered just a bod challenge pack. Now her husband wants to join her. Now she's enrolling with a coach account with a mega pack, like the $400 mega pack with like the Shakeology, the Recover, all of it. So I'm like, well, what am I doing different, right? Because something obviously has changed, because I've always helped at least 3 people per month. I've always achieved Success Club for 80 some months in a row. But for a long time, I've felt this sort of stagnation in my business, sort of this like plateau, this lack of momentum when it comes to adding coaches, etc. So this is a really long introduction of a way of me to introduce this. But I really just think that it's important for you guys to know that, like, for me, it came to like self-evaluation, like what's working for me, what's not working for me. Let's go back to the roots and back to the basics. And then depending on how that goes, I teach it to my team. And so that's where I am now, is to tell you, this is what I've been doing for the last month and a half. It seems to be working well. And so what I did was I put together just 10 slides of tips for you. Okay. So I'm going to just pause between each one, or if you guys seriously, like, we've got a small group tonight. So if you guys have a question, or if you have another tip to add in that I didn't mention or that's working for you, please do that, because obviously we're stronger together, and you guys have lots of value to share too, because I know lots of you guys are running your own groups as well. So I'm actually going to skip through the announcements, and I'll come back to them at the end, since I've already kind of introduced to you guys what we're doing. So let me do I should probably do slideshow. Okay. So yeah, so I wanted to look up and see, okay, how are we going to define effective? Because if I'm teaching you how to run an effective challenge group, what exactly does that mean? Does that just mean everybody has fun? Does that mean everybody sees physical transformation? Does that mean everybody stays on Shakeology? Like, what is the definition of effective? So I looked up the actual definition of effective is successful in producing a desired or intended result, which wasn't exactly the answer I was looking for. So I had to ask myself a further question, which is, well, what is our desired or intended result? And personally speaking, I can tell you that if we're wanting to grow our business, we're wanting to build our teams, we're wanting to really align with what Beachbody has presented for us in this opportunity, then the end result really is helping people see transformation, creating tribe, standout leadership, right? Noticing and encouraging those who are natural born leaders, cultivating coaches, residual income, product fans, and then referrals. When we start to see referrals happen, we start to see people upgrade to coach. We start to see people, I'll say this later, but we start to see people who are in our challenge groups friend each other on Facebook outside of the group because they become friends. When we see that tribe happen, these are all things I think that should be our desired and intended result. And from what I'm gathering, based on one-on-one calls and messages from you guys, is that there's a lot of effort on your part in a lot of challenge groups, and not a lot of reciprocated energy from challengers, right? And then likewise, you're putting a lot of effort in, and then people aren't interested in becoming a coach. So these are all things that I want to talk about tonight. I want to keep it super transparent. And so I'm just literally going to start at number one. These are in no particular order. These are just my top 10 things that I've noticed about my own, this most recent challenge group and what's working. So the first thing is onboarding customers from the get-go and setting expectations for them from the beginning. Okay, so there are a lot of coaches in the network that will tell you that they have some sort of holding group before the challenge group begins, right? Or they have some sort of interest group, or they start their challenge group a week or two early, or whatever the case is. I don't necessarily think that there's like a perfect thing to do there. I'm a little bit more of a procrastinator. So I ideally would love to have a group that has like a prep week and all that. But usually what happens is I fill the group, I put people in a Facebook group, we set a start date, and then a couple days before we start, I give them all the things they need to know. And it's still okay. So it doesn't matter how exactly you go about it. But what I did for this particular group, both rounds, and what I've done for tons of challenge groups in the past, is to do a video, like a live stream or whatever, even pre-recorded, doesn't matter, prior to their first day, that is literally explaining expectations for the group and basics, how to log into Beachbody On Demand, what Beachbody On Demand has to offer and what they should do when they're checking it out, how they're going to check into the Facebook group every day. If they're all doing morning meltdown 100, maybe give a little overview of that, right? The workouts are 30 minutes or less. You can do them at your own pace, whatever. You're going over program details. And of course, you're giving a little bit of your story in there as well. Why did you create this group? What is your goal for this group? Are you looking for them to engage, to participate, to share their recipes, to share how their family liked the Fixate recipes, to post sweaty selfies? Like, what is it that you're looking for them to do? And I think a lot of times we're like, well, my people aren't doing anything in the group. And it's like, well, did they know what you wanted them to do from the beginning? And this is something that became apparent for me when this group that I have, I had a customer that hopped into the second round, right? And I made it very clear, like we started fresh, right? And I had unitized all of my previous 30 days of content before, so they had access to that too, sort of like bonus material. And we started on day 31, which for them was day 1. And she reaches out to me and she's like, I'm a little overwhelmed. She's like, what exactly am I supposed to do? And it made me realize, because she wasn't in there for the first round, she didn't see that whole post where I went over expectations, right? She didn't see the video. She didn't see the about section of the group itself. So I went over those expectations with her, right? I had to kind of do that on a one-on-one basis. I pointed her in the right direction of that video for her to watch it. But all that to say that people really just want to be told what to do. And the sooner we can really take hold of them when they're interested, like right almost immediately after the sale, right? Like they get their challenge pack, or they get their Shakeology or their bod quarterly or whatever the case is, they go into this group, and waiting for them in the group is a video of you explaining the expectations for that group. Okay. So that is point number 1. I also have been putting in all groups a copy of what we call our Body Electric customer checklist. This is an actual like JPEG image or PDF file that you can find in our team page or in the virtual gym. You can use that for customers. It's a great way for them to know what to do to start with. It tells them how to log into their Beachbody On Demand, all that kind of stuff. So that's also a good resource. Oh, I just hit my iTunes. That's not what I wanted to do. Let me start this over again. All right. Hit the wrong button. Okay. So number 2, accountability. The reason why people are going to see results, which is one of our end goals, is not necessarily, I mean, yes, they have the tools that work. They have the workouts that we know work. They have the Shakeology or whatever. They have the products. But if they don't have the accountability piece, they're not going to succeed. Okay. And so I like to let my customers know upfront that I'm going to be the coach that they need, which isn't going to necessarily be the coach that they want. Okay. There's a difference. I used to have people in my gym who would come to class and they would say to me, I was LA Fitness. I was LA Fitness's best client because I paid an annual membership and I never showed up. I would pull up to the gym, park my car. It's freezing cold outside. And I would look in there and be like, no one knows if I'm showing up here. What do I care? And they would turn around and go home. They're like, but not at Jenny's gym. When I get here, I pull in and I know that if I don't show up, if I don't come in, she's going to tag me in a post on Facebook. She's going to send me a message. She's going to want to know why I didn't come. And I better have a darn good reason, right? So that's the kind of coach that people need so that they show up. And so I know a lot of you guys do this already where you tag your challenger, right, in the lead post. Hey, Julia, would love to hear from you. Haven't heard from you in a while. But I also think that going back to that like one-on-one direct message from the start, like from the very beginning when they're in the group and they're not responding, tackle that, nip that in the butt right away. Like reach out to them and be like, hey, we're on day 2. Haven't heard from you. Did you start with the group? Right? Like the more on top of them you can be early on, the better, because then they're going to be like, oh yeah, I need to plug in. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. If you do that too late, it's just too late. And if you do it too long, if you're finding yourself following up with the same person for the first 2 to 3 weeks, you need to let it go, bless and release them. Okay. So I like to tag people, but I also like to reach out to them, considering the fact that they have trust in me as their coach, and let them know that I'm going to be the coach that they need, not necessarily the coach that they want. Okay. Number 3 is authenticity. So I have learned in my years as a coach that the challenge group guides are great. They can even be a great starting off point. They can be a great way to find an idea for the day, for what to post or to use images from. New coaches who might need a little more direction, challenge group guides are great. for those of you guys who have been part of a challenge group yourself and maybe have helped lead one, you know that the more authentic the posts are, if they're funny, if they even have some memes, right? If they're just more real, they get more engagement. And so we can't expect to put a picture of Jericho doing a lightning bolt and perfectly shimmer pants in this, like, she's a freak of nature, you guys. I have no idea. I have no other words. We can't just put a post of her or like a pumpkin spice shake sitting on a bed of leaves and some sort of copy and pasted post from a challenge group guide every day and expect people to engage. Just like we can't expect that even on our social media, right? Like we have to be showing a little bit of ourselves. We have to be demonstrating that we're real, right? And sometimes that doesn't mean like, look at me, I'm on, I've done 100 straight days and I didn't miss a day and I'm 100% on my nutrition, right? Like we're not asking for perfect coaches. We're asking for vulnerability. We're asking for you guys to really lead authentically. And so I think that's key. The other thing is to incorporate fun. And I'll be honest with you, fun is not my forte. You guys know I love a whiteboard. I love organization. I like teaching. I like, checking the boxes. So fun doesn't come super naturally to me in these things, but people eat that stuff up, right? If you ask them a question, if you do a poll, if you challenge them to a plank challenge or a wall sit challenge, or if you say, hey, this week we're talking all about football appetizer, football game appetizers, like share your favorite healthy ones, right? Like people will grab onto that for sure. So my recommendation to you is if you have to use the challenge group guide as a basis, great, but don't copy paste. Use your own authentic pictures and your own vibe, right? And then incorporate fun. Number 4, this is kind of connected to this, is to have a theme. I think that, by the way, theme does not equate program. So Morning Meltdown 100 is not my theme, okay? Now you could say, like, for sure, right? Especially when a program launches, you could do like 6 weeks of the work. We're doing a launch test group, right? That could technically, I guess, be a theme. But what I'm referring to is when you specifically attract a target niche, or you are doing something seasonal, for example, right? Like I gave you guys some ideas here on this slide, but by incorporating a theme, you're really just attracting people who are like-minded, who are interested in that exact thing at that exact moment. And it already gives you common ground, right? If you say to people like, I'm doing a fall foodie challenge, we're talking all about perfect recipes for your game day, right? Like lots of turkey chili and healthy nachos and all these sort of like football feeling fall foods. It's a lot of F's. That's some good alliteration there. If you say that, like you're going to attract probably a certain group of people, right? Like most likely there are people who like football, who like all things having to do with fall, pumpkin spice, whatever, right? So there's already a common interest there. So when you start sharing fall football recipes, right, you start asking them to contribute, there's already something that they all have in common. And I think that's super important when it comes to a theme. So here's the other thing that I want to share. And some of you guys have heard me say this already. Don't be afraid to sort of niche your group or to go after a particular niche of people. And I used to think that there were certain niches that I was definitely, what do you want to say, qualified to lead. For example, like my journey with headaches, right? Like I was like, there's a whole world of people out there that have headaches, right? But I used to sometimes think that I was like never going to find, like I would never find enough people who would be interested within that niche. And that's just not true. Like there are lots of people out there who are like you or in a similar position with your parenting style or with your job, right? Like whatever the case is, like people who work night shift, you could almost do that. You could go after people who work night shift, right? You're going to create this group and this is when you're going to work out and you're going to hold them accountable and offer tips for that. Like whatever it is, like I really am becoming more and more passionate about this. Now, trust me, for years, I heard people like Danielle Natoni and all these people talk about niche, finding your niche. And I was like, nope, I'll take anybody, right? Like I'm just building my business. I want anybody and everybody, which is totally fine. But as I've grown in my business, I've learned that I definitely have people who are a lot more like me. Some of you guys have seen my invitation post on Facebook, and I've even shared that this particular group that I'm referring to that I've seen success with in the last month and a half is actually a hormone health group. I would have never thought I would ever lead a group on Facebook about hormone health. But turns out I've had my own journey with that. And there are lots of people out there who are struggling, right? I have 17 women in this group all over the place. Some of them are struggling with migraines. Some of them are struggling with perimenopause and menopause, like all over the place, right? And they have no idea about bioidentical hormones. They don't have their diet under control, right? So am I still offering fitness and nutrition accountability? Yes. But the majority of the content that I'm sharing with them actually has to do with hormone health, and I'm tying that in. Okay. Never would have thought that many people would have been interested, but I threw it out like spaghetti to a wall, and 17 women in the last 6 weeks have said yes, have opted in. Okay. So I'm following Chalene Johnson's Marketing Impact Academy again for the second time in 4 years. I'm going through the academy again. And in that academy, she talks about determining your lifer. We have all heard lifer before because we all follow Chalene. But when I was listening to her a couple nights ago, I realized she defined lifer in a whole new way. Like maybe it won't be a new way to you, but for me, it was like, I have heard her talk about finding your lifer for years and it's never clicked. But the other night she said it this way, which is what I'm about to tell you, and it changed my world. She said, your lifer, we often overcomplicate it, right? We try to find like, what are 5 adjectives that describe me? Or what are the 3 words, whatever, She's like, no, your lifer is you 5 minutes ago. Your lifer is you looking over your shoulder and saying, hey, I've been there. Here's what I would do differently. So I want you guys to just pause for a hot second and ask yourself, what have I been through, positive, negative, whatever, that I could now bring people through, that I could offer some knowledge, because you're not an expert, but to them you are, because you've been through something they haven't been through yet, right? That's how you determine your lifer. Could be a struggle with infertility, could be a struggle with, like I said, my hormone health, could be a struggle with, I don't know, like anything. It doesn't even have to be a struggle. It could be something that's gone well for you that you want to teach people about, right? So that's all I have to say about that. I'll drop it. I could go on, but I'll stop there. So some ideas that I wanted to just jot out for you for fall, right? The one, we do have a fall foodie meal plan option that is in, I should be in our team page. If it's not there, let me know and I can find it and dig it up. We have a fall foodie meal plan. It's like all crockpot recipes, football recipes. You could do football and fitness. You could do aim to maintain over Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. You could do something. I've heard a National Wake Up Call coach talk about Game of Thrones or something like that. She did like a whole challenge group based on a TV show, right? And attracted people who were into that TV show. Energize your morning, right? Getting people to work out in the morning, try Energize, teachers with Energize, whatever, right? Like coming up with those types of ideas. While they sound a little, like I know they could to you sound a little too specific, like you're weeding people out, that's okay. You'll have another group next month that might include someone else. But this month, this is what your theme is going to be, right? And it helps you really target your invitations and your public posts in that way. Okay. Number 5, participation. How do we encourage participation? I wish I knew, but here's what I do know. I don't know all the answers. I'm not a magic wizard. But I know that if we can control what we can control, we have to bless and release the rest. So what can we control? We can control the fact that we are identifying and communicating expectations to our challengers. If we tell them we need them to plug in and check in with their workouts and contribute to the group and support other people, and they don't, we've at least communicated that that's what they need to do to be successful, right? We tag people for accountability. We reach out to them and say, hey, I'm the coach you need, not the coach you want. We share expectations at the get-go from the time they buy their pack or from the time they buy their product. And then we make check-ins fun. So I like, we've done the WIN system before, which is getting people to check in with their workout, inspiration, and nutrition. That's just something that sticks. People know what to check in with every day. It keeps it really simple. But when you have a system like that, people know what to do. Right? So whether it's WIN or something else, having a check-in system keeps it very simple for people. If they only want to spend 5 minutes in your group a day, they can still only spend 5 minutes a day in your group. Okay. Number 6, coaching seed plants. So when I wrote the word stories here, I should have identified that I did not necessarily mean Facebook or Instagram stories. I was talking about good old-fashioned telling stories, okay? So the best way I have found to showcase coaching and what it's all about is to tell stories to your challengers, okay? So whether it's, let's see, I think I told a story in this hormone group recently about one of my personally sponsored coaches who's been with me for a long time. I shared a story about this coach and how I was so blessed to work with her, right? And really the post wasn't necessarily all about coaching. It was just a story about her and her personal journey and how I was so blessed to be a coach and have this opportunity. I wanted them to come away from the story realizing that I took something that worked for me and decided to pay it forward. And had I not done that, this person would not have done the same, right? So just those sort of little, what do you call that? Not just a seed plant, but I can't think of the word, where you're just sort of like sharing the true value and emotional connection to what coaching has been in your life and for our team, right? Like sharing those types of things in little bitty stories are going to be what really get people to put themselves in those shoes. Could I do that? Right? We want them thinking, is that something I could do? Is that something that I would be fit for? So that when you're encouraging them in that one-on-one direct message and you're constantly saying, you make a great coach. Are you kidding me? Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever considered doing what I do? When you start telling them that type of stuff, it's like they're ready, right? Because they've kind of already been thinking, is this something I could do? They just need your belief. All right, number 7, Shakeology and performance line as a constant focus. What do you guys think is the number one reason why people don't continue Shakeology or performance line past month 1? I don't know for sure. I'm not a rocket scientist, but my guess would be that people don't continue because they just don't know enough about it. And it hasn't been driven home in the challenge group that it's as important as it is. I am such a victim of this. My challenge groups in the past have been 90% workout focused. Check in with your workouts, sweaty selfies. Here's a clip of me doing squats, right? Tips on technique and form, because that's what I love. I love fitness. So I want to talk to them about fitness all day long. But if I'm not also constantly selling them on the power of Shakeology and the nutrition of Shakeology and how performance line can help them and why it's worth the investment or whatever the case is, like if I'm not also sharing that all the time and making it something as exciting as Jericho's pants, they're not going to see it as that exciting. They're not going to see it as worthwhile. So yes, you got them on board perhaps with buying it at the beginning, but your job isn't over because that challenge group is your way of keeping them sold on the product. Okay, so incorporating Shakeology, incorporating knowledge on that into your challenge groups is a great idea. This is something that I did in that hormone group. And so far, granted, we're only in the 2nd month, but for the people that joined me in the 1st month, nobody has canceled their Shakeology yet, and we're in month 2. So I made Shakeology a focus. I talked about nutritional void, nutritional deficiencies, right? Like I talked about the stuff and most of the time, you guys, it was not my own knowledge. It was a Googled article. That's what I was teaching them. Read this article. I thought it was cool, right? So you don't have to know everything to be able to teach something. You can look stuff up. Okay, so make it a consistent focus, share seasonal recipes, swoon over energize. Yeah, we already said that. Okay. Number 8, create a tribe within your group. So I think one of the things that I'm noticing is that the people who join my challenge group, I think we have a great team. We have close to maybe somewhere around 500 coaches on our Body Electric team. We have a great team. They see us post about our team. They see us go to Summit. They see that we got new sweatshirts. They understand that we have like a badass team. But I think there's something to be said for like when I'm leading them personally through a challenge group, right? They get just me. They know that I have a team. They know that I have coaches that I work with, whatever. But now it's like they're their own little team, right? And so I feel like they love being part of the virtual gym. They love seeing what other coaches are saying and doing, and they love meeting you guys. They love getting the resources that are in the virtual gym, but the intimacy and the connection really comes in the smaller group and the tribe that's built within that group. So this is what I was referring to earlier when I said that when I see a challenger, connect with another challenger on Facebook, like I saw this lady who's in my hormone group comment on another lady from the hormone group's post about her kid. I was like, oh, they became friends like because of me. They became friends because of my group, right? That's when you know you're doing something right. Because these people now are invested in each other's success and they have formed a relationship. Doesn't mean we want necessarily all of them to be like, it's not going to be the case where they're all friends. But when we start seeing that kind of thing happen, we know we're doing something right. So we want them to feel connected to other people in the group. And the truth is, who's the one person in the group who knows everybody in the group? You are. So right, when there might be somebody that has a common connection. I have randomly two women who are both from the UK in my group. And so one of them's from Bury St. Edmunds, and the other one's from like some word that starts with a W. And so I just went to Google and I searched like, how far away is Bury St. Edmunds from this town? And it said 3.5 hours. So I commented on one of the girls' comments and I was like, did you know that so-and-so is like 3.5 hours from you? And she was like, no way. She's like, they both moved to the UK because they married men that were UK residents, right? Like that they've been there and one of them's really been struggling because she feels like totally away, like isolated away from her family. So the two of them have like totally connected, but I had to make that connection for them. Just like the other day, there was one of my challengers in the virtual gym asked about if we had any tips for teachers. So I tagged about 10 of our teachers in the group. And I was like, anybody have any tips? Right? Like I know who the teachers are in the group. I can connect them. So form those connections for them. Create tribe around the program itself. You guys might have seen I shared a post today that Target is selling shimmery leggings. It's just something fun and lighthearted. And you guys might remember we did something similar when it came to 80-day obsession, right? We ended up having our own shirt made because people really locked onto that concept of doing hard things. So whether it's talking about Jericho's fashion, talking about Autumn's reiteration of doing hard things, like something around the program itself, like unite the people that are in the group around that thing. Number 9 is deliver value. This is an obvious statement. But I suggest that you decide in advance and really do a little soul searching when it comes to how much value you are going to contribute to this group, to your groups. Okay, and you guys know that I'm totally cool with brutal honesty, so I'm going to keep it really brutally honest here. This is me looking at you, my lifer, as if 5 minutes ago I could say to you, this is what I would do differently. Okay, I think sometimes we obsess over our challengers a little too much. Okay, and what I mean by that is we handhold them a little bit too much. We place their success on our shoulders a little bit. We get excited that they joined our challenge group, and so we spend all kinds of time getting them a gift, mailing them a gift, whatever the case is. I used to do that. Trust me, I've done years of that. And so the reason I'm bringing this up, because I realize it's somewhat controversial, is because I just want you to remember that in the end, yes, we want people to change their lives. We want them to have transformation. We're excited that they're joining our challenge group. We are also building a business, right? And we've been over this. We know, you guys know, that if you want to build an effective business, then you're leading and building your team. And so your challengers are important. Running the challenge groups is a total root. That's why we're talking about it tonight. It's a total root of our business. But if we find out that if we were to tally our work hours at the end of the week, and we determined that we worked 8 hours this week as a coach, and 6 of those hours were in talking to customers, convincing, getting them to the sale, sending them gifts, creating a fancy meal plan to post in the group. If we're spending 6 or 7 hours out of 8 hours of our business week on those challengers, and then we're wondering why our income isn't growing, just a reminder, you're earning $40 on each customer. Do you get what I'm saying here? So I really think that it's smart to decide up front, what kind of value am I going to bring to this group? I decided that for my hormone group, no meal plans. I'm not going to sit and do meal plans for the people in the group, but I am going to give them some sort of unique knowledge of mine tied to my own personal story about hormone health every day. So I'm going to give them a well thought out, advice driven post about hormone health for 30 straight days. To me, I would pay $40 to hear that, right? Do you know what I would pay to get like individual meal plans, a gift with purchase, like all that kind of stuff? A lot more. So when I create my adoption course, like for adoptive parents, it'll probably be in like the $300 ballpark. My value for that will be crazy, crazy big. Okay. So I just want you to make sure that the value you're contributing is equal to the energy that you're wanting to put in, the energy that you're wanting to get out, because I know you want these people to stay on Shakeology. I know you want them to have a good experience, but sort of babying them, hand-holding them, making over them, and then them not participating is a huge letdown, and it's a dent in your wallet too. So I think it's more important to think about what we want to do up front and deliver value in a way that is energy effective and cost effective. And then finally, I already kind of mentioned this before, but leading and not owning their success. This is really hard. And I think a lot of you guys are like me. So it's probably very hard for you too. I hate when I see someone with, this goes for coaching or customer, when I see their potential and when I've heard their story and when I've heard their why and when they've given me their verbal commitment and then they don't follow through. And I've spent years, I guess you could say, grieving over people who started but didn't finish, got halfway but gave up, finished but then gained all the weight back, right? Finished but then quit, right? I mean, there have been so many different stories that I could give you, but the thing is, they're not my story. That's their story. When I used to teach abs at the end of every class, when I taught P90X every day, 3 times a day, every day, I would say to the people, and they'd be like, oh, don't tell her I'm cheating, right? Like I had this guy in class that would always be like, I'd say, Mike, you're cheating. I see you over there. Come on, get your legs up. And he'd be like, oh, I'm cheating. I know. And I always used to say, you're not cheating me. You're cheating you, right? That's how I feel. And this is how I want you guys to feel about your challenge groups. We're there to keep them accountable. We've put them in an environment where they can thrive. We've established expectations. If you have done 1 through 9 and they don't come through on number 10 with owning their own success, it is not on you. And when you're in this business for 10 years, you'll find that half of them come back. It's just on their time, not our time. Okay? All right. So this takes us all the way back to expectations, right? It takes us back to expectations, establishing what those expectations are before the sale. I told Amy Snow this week in my life coaching session that I have figured out that I'm at a point in my business where I feel like I'm interviewing potential customers. I had a girl this weekend that was like, I want to order Shakeology. And I was like, okay, great. Let's talk. And so we had a whole conversation, and could I have easily just set her up on an order? Yes. But I wanted to make sure that she knew before she even put her Visa card in that this is not me convincing her. This is going to be, I want full participation. Like if she's going to order this, she's going to join my online group. This is what's expected, right? So I'm almost setting those expectations before the sale because I don't want to be let down and I don't want them to let themselves down. I don't want to see a return challenge pack, right? So I want to make sure that they are set up for success. I'm going to be the coach they need me to be. Okay, so real quick, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. I did have just a couple announcements that I didn't get to at the beginning. The first thing is, you guys already know Pumpkin Spice Shakeology technically is still available. They have not sold out yet. 6 weeks of the work releases on September 30th. I have everything sketched out for a 2-week prep calendar, and I will have it to you guys tomorrow. My goal was to have it to you yesterday, and then I threw my back out in my workout. So I've been a little full of Advil and very uncomfortable. So vegan beach bars are coming. Peppermint mocha Shakeology is coming. Obviously bar is coming in January. I don't know if you guys saw Carl's post today. That would be a program definitely out of my comfort zone. But we have lots of good launches and products coming up. So I know you guys know all those things, but just wanted to give you the reminder of that. So does anybody have any questions about anything having to do with launches this month or challenge group, running effective challenge groups? Was it just super obvious? Hopefully it wasn't super obvious.
I had a question, Jenny, when you were talking about not following the, I'm trying to find it, not following the coach challenge group guides, the challenge group guides, coach office.
Yeah.
Do you plan your posts out for the week and post ahead of time, like schedule them, or do you go day by day based on what your group seems to be wanting or needing from you?
Yeah, it depends on the group itself. Like for this particular hormone health group, I really, since it was my first time ever doing something like this, and to have something like hormone health that's weaved into it, I wasn't really sure how to plan it out in advance because I wasn't sure how they were going to respond to certain things. And so I've been doing it day of or even the night before. They're engaged in a lot. They're very interested in wanting to understand, symptoms that they're having and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's like I'm kind of responding to the questions that I'm getting to make sure that I'm giving them the value in that way. And then what's cool is by the time I finish the second round, my goal is to turn this hormone thing into an online course using a free platform called Thinkific. So I'll be able to copy and paste everything that I did from the Facebook group to that platform and then be able to charge for it. But the reason I tell you that is because this one is sort of a test group, right? So I'll be able to look back and say, okay, if I was doing this all over with somebody, I might restructure it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But if I was going to run like a morning meltdown group for people who were going to go through 100 days, I would probably plan out like a week at a time.
Okay.
Because I would know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? Like I would know like what day is the rest day, what day is the, but I think it's just a matter of preference. I mean, I'm a very procrastinator type person. When I'm sitting at the breakfast table with Ellery every morning at like 8:00, that's when I go through my groups and make sure everything's led. And so I usually just sit there and whip up a post right there. Okay. I don't think it matters, planning or spontaneous, as long as it doesn't sound like Kim Carver wrote it. I love Kim Carver, but What do you guys feel like of those 10 tips? What do you guys feel like your challenge group, for those of you who are running individual groups, what do you feel like your group could do better?
I think I kind of want to get back to having a theme. I do like that. I don't know if it's a teacher in me or what, but it's easier for me to plan those posts and kind of come up with the posts, because I, on the other hand, have to plan it out if it's going to happen, because oftentimes I finish my workout by like 5:45 in the morning, and sometimes I don't have time to check in with my group until the kids go to bed. That's kind of the day-to-day was. So if I have a theme, it's easier for me to think about what to post in there. I also really like the idea of setting those expectations ahead of time. Mm-hmm. I keep struggling with this, and then I feel like flippant with my challengers who've been with me a while, because I flip back and forth over if I'm getting better engagement in Facebook or my challenge tracker. I feel like every other month I change my mind on what I want to do. And I don't like that, because I think it's flippant. But we're back in my challenge tracker right now, which I've had some people say that they like. I just feel like engagement, I feel like it's easier for me to engage with people in Facebook. But I have gotten very mixed reviews. I have some people who love having it in a separate app who just aren't really Facebook people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think the My Challenge Tracker app is great. I mean, my biggest frustration with it and what I see, I've seen a lot of people. It seems like I'm in this Facebook group called VIP Coach Relations, and it's just like 5 stars and above. And they have these. There's always coaches posting in there that are saying like, "Is there any way that we could have XYZ functionality in the My Challenge Tracker?" And every time somebody's requesting, what they're requesting is almost they want the tracker to be more social media-esque. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, is
Yeah.
there a way that we could have it so that we could like comment or whatever you say, like reply back to comments and all these things? Like, is there any way it could be more like Facebook? Like every time they ask something, it's like that. So I feel like that's the downfall, is that for people who like that sort of like Fitbit, check-in, boom, boom, MyFitnessPal type idea, it's great. But I think what you miss is you miss the connection ability. You miss the ability to for people to sort of form tribe and look at each other's Facebook pages, and you know what I'm saying? Like I think that's missing, and yeah. So I mean, I think it works for some.
That's why I keep going back and forth, and I just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It made me think, before you even started talking, it made me think of one thing I forgot to say, which is back on the point of not owning the success of your challengers and planting seeds for coaching. I think it's very obvious, we've talked about this before, that the people who say no to us about becoming coaches are most likely saying no because to them we are a mirror of what a coach would be. And so what I mean by that is they see us leading a group because that's all they see, and to them that's their definition of a coach, right? So I had a success partner at one point who said she used to always get the objection that people didn't want to be a coach on her team because they didn't think they could always take sports bra pictures of themselves. And she realized that like most of her posts were like post-workout sports bra pictures, right? So like it's the same thing. Like people tell me all the time, they're like, well, I'm not a personal trainer. I don't have a nutrition license or whatever. And I'm like, ugh, like, what did I do to present that was needed? You know what I'm saying? So whatever kind of objection we're getting is most likely that's the reason why they don't want to become a coach, is because they see something in us that they don't think they are. And so when I rewind myself back to that little chat we had about over serving, right? Like sending the gift, providing a fancy meal plan, all those things, the person on the other side, if they really are thinking about coaching, the first thing that's going to pop in their mind is there's no way I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to create that or mail gifts or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I think we want to remember at the end of the day that it's something simple and duplicatable when it comes to recruiting coaches. And I meant to say that before. So it had nothing to do with what you said, Jackie, but it made me think to share that.
Jenny, I know that we're talking Friday, but like, I guess I'm just kind of at a loss for myself, because like my challenge group, we have a monthly theme, so it changes each month, and that's kind of how we base our focus on what we'll be posting in the group. So like this month is fall into you, mm-hmm. and focusing on like your own personal accountability. And then each day we have like a theme that we follow along to. And then Fridays, typically like we do like, it was Shake It Up Friday, which we focused on Shakeology. Mm-hmm. So now instead of doing just Shakeology, I've been going live and doing either if it's making a shake or if it's doing a food prep demo or something going live. So I'm more interactive. And I just feel like I feel like I'm doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing, and I'm just not getting the traction. And I don't know if that's because I don't know what I'm doing to make people think that they can't do this. They don't have the time for this. I mean, because people know that I'm busy and I'm still able to do this. Like doesn't fall short that I have a lot on my plate. And I just feel like I like Jennifer Tenney posts her, like, I'm assuming they're in the tracker because she knows like who's done their workout and who's posted their shake. And I love that because it's a great way to like add accountability and recognition to it. Right. And that's what I think Facebook lacks, because then keep track. There's no way to just like look up and see the tally total of what everybody's doing. But I think the only thing that I'm lacking is like a recognition for them. So I've been trying to do that, but I'm not getting like, we have 32 people in my group, and like me, 2 of my working coaches, and like 4 other people are the ones that like continually check in. And then I have just like people that sporadic here and there. And I just feel like everything I do, like I feel like I fall short.
So this is a group that is ongoing, but you change the theme each month?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just ongoing. I can't. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. It's hard because there's like a lag, so I can't tell if you started or not, but go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because for some reason, I can't get enough challengers each month to do an individualized group and then have it be engaging. Because if I have only 3 people or 2 people.
Are you advertising the theme publicly or just to the group itself?
I do sometimes when it's specific.
Okay. So here would be my number 1 suggestion would be to reverse your thinking on this. Okay. So instead of thinking, well, I don't have new people coming in, so therefore I'll reach out to the people I have and see what theme we're going to do this month. My vote would be keep that as your ongoing group, like your virtual gym, your ongoing thing. But open a new group each month. Brand new group, brand new, like this is, sort of goes back to old school. I'm running this, your social media marketing changes. I'm running a, like football and fitness challenge group. We kick off September 30th. It's all about workouts during the fall season. I'll be sharing all of my favorite foodie football recipes, right? Put that gorgeous picture of your buffalo chicken meatballs that I might have saved that picture on my phone. It was so pretty. But like target people. And if you have 2 people that say yes, that want in, that do bod quarterly or whatever, or even 1 person, then you go back into your ongoing group and you say, hey guys, not sure if you guys have been seeing it on my social. I'm actually opening up a new group later this month, focused on XYZ. Is there anyone here who would like to participate? Then if they say yes, it's a fresh start. Boom. Okay, I'm adding you to that group, right? Then your expectations video. You reach out to those people who are old veterans and you say, hey, new group, expecting you guys to plug in, right? You give them that sort of fresh start. So that would be that could be why you're not seeing traction on getting new people in, because your I don't know this for sure because I haven't been like stalking you on Facebook, but your Facebook marketing could be too general. You're not like targeting for something specific, whether it's niche or theme. And so because of that, you're just like resorting to leading to the people that you have, which isn't really advancing your business any, right?
Yeah.
And then they're not responding because they're like, here's Sarah again with just a new theme every month. So you get new people, you bring along the people who are
already part of it,
who are engaging. Yep. And I'm telling you, like I did months, if not years of challenge groups with 2 or 3 people.
Okay.
And
that's the part that always makes me nervous.
Was like 3 ladies, me and 3 ladies, and 1 was my aunt. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can talk more Friday. I know we were going to talk more about like niches and stuff like that, but my thought would be reverse your thinking. Yeah. Invite to that. And I think you even said in your voice message to me the other day that you crush it with nutrition and people know that, like they look to you for that. So instead of just saying like, I'm leading a nutrition group, which is sort of basic in general, make it attractive. Like what are people into right now? They're into maybe in a couple weeks when it's not 100 degrees, they'll be into soups. Maybe you do a soup group, right? Like whatever people are starting to get interested in nutrition wise, throw that at them. And you've got the expertise and the recipes and the social proof that you know what you're talking about with those types of recipes, that you could attract people for that. And now that we're not requiring challenge pack, right? You could have people that opt in just because they want your recipes, and you say, okay, to get my recipes, you have to order Shakeology, or you have to order a Fixate quarterly membership, right? It can be a Fixate membership, doesn't have to be a bod membership. So we'll talk more, but I think that's I think you're caring too much about the people you have now and not bringing new people in. And I think if you can sort of target your marketing, it will help. Jennifer, I want to hear about you're like, dang it, I was just about ready to log off. Oh, I want to hear about your devotional group, because that's a niche group and that's going well, right?
Yes, like that was a mind-blowing moment for me. Totally out on a limb, taking a chance. I saw some other coach posting about it, and that's where I got the idea, but it has just blown me away. I'm not going to say everybody is still tuning into it as much as they were, because now we're on I don't know, day 50 or something. We're getting pretty far into it. But the feedback that I've gotten from that devotional group has just been amazing. Mm-hmm. And the girls seem to be loving it. Even the people who aren't necessarily tuning in and responding to the conversation every day, they're still following along and they're still reading the conversations and they're still taking stuff out of it. So I couldn't have asked for it to go any better at this point.
Mm-hmm. So are you going to pitch it again for round 2 and start a fresh group, or are you going to pop them into the old group, or what do you?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it again. It works really well tied with Morning Meltdown because both are 100 days. So I really liked that aspect. So I haven't decided exactly what I want to do next, because I want to keep it shorter. Mm-hmm. I think a 30-day devotional, yeah, or even a book. I'm thinking about doing just a different kind of, faith-based self-improvement type book. Yep. That I can lead a group for just 30 days, because then I can keep their attention, for 30 days instead of 100. Mm-hmm. But I definitely want to tie it into another group. I'm just not sure if I want to have a specific program I want to tie it to or not, but I want to keep this going. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually, I've been interested in doing a faith-based devotional type group as well. And actually with the MOPS group that I'm in this fall, I'm leading, it's a book study called Choosing Gratitude. And so it's got a devotional in it, and it's got discussion questions and all kinds of stuff in it. And so we're starting it with our MOPS group the first week of October. And so I'm like, okay, I'm already going to have the first few weeks under my belt, we're starting the second week of October. We'll end the week before Thanksgiving. So it's just 6 weeks. And I was like, I could easily use this for the month of November. Mm-hmm. And since I'm already starting it with a small group in person, just do it online in November.
Yeah. That reminds me though, Erin, we have when did you become a coach? What month?
April.
Okay. So in November, we have done a month of November gratitude challenge for our team. And I believe that the template for that is also in the team page in the files section.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Check that out. But that was the very first group I ever ran. That was the concept, right? 30 days of gratitude for the month of November.
Yeah.
And what's cool is we use an app called Remind, which is an app that teachers use to message parents.
Yeah, we use it for MOPS.
Yeah, and so what I did was I just set up a Remind group, and then the template that you'll see is a daily text that they get with something about gratitude, like a video to watch or a quote or something. And so
I like that.
We've gotten good feedback with that. I think that these sort of themed groups are the best way to go. I really do.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what Morning Meltdown is, right? We can just tell them this is a great program and it drives with our group. So you're doing this. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I'll have the recording tomorrow, but I think this is a good jumping off point. I think getting back to some basics is always good. So as I learn things, I will share, and I would love for you guys to share things that are working for you too. Jennifer, I would even love for you to share what's going on with your devotional group in the team page or something, so more people can grab that idea or a different idea and run with it. So, all right, you guys, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.